Jai Shri Krishna to all. Welcome to Path to Anandam Gita series. Freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy and peaceful life. Based upon 108 mantras to awaken your soul and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. My questions and God's answers. Today we have a series number 103. Ultimate power of sharing spiritual truths, spiritual wisdom. Pranam to Hariharji Maharaj, Guruji, for his blessings, his guidance, and bringing us together this morning. And thank you to Bhagwan Krishna Bhagwanji for bringing everybody together this morning. I am Satya Kalra, your host for the program and also founder of Path to Anandam, blissful living. And whatever you see on this book, these books on this page, CDs, etc., this is all guidance of Hariharji Maharaj. Being an international speaker and coach, and also connect medical scientist, these studies are connected with science and spirituality both. So Gita is not just for the old-timers or for the spiritual people, it is the way of life. It guides us on every moment of our life, how to live, and not only how to live, but how to die as well. If you have missed any programs, we have a YouTube channel where all the videos are posted, and we have more than 500 videos, including these programs. So please share with others as well. And today's program is based on Gita verse 68 mainly, but other supporting verses 67 to 69, 70, 71 are all taken to complete the message. So how to share the spiritual truth, Gita's teachings, and who to share and who not to share these teachings, and how to qualify to receive Gita's teachings. What are the benefits? Oneness, Supreme and I are one. And how to apply and how to practice in daily life, along with our homework. And our sankalpa today is, I listen, I learn, and I lift, along with meditation and question and answers. So let's all pray to Bhagwan Krishna Ji, just like Arjuna did when he was in Vishad, lost his heroism, who he was, confused, dejected. But he asked for the advice to his best companion, which he did not know it was Bhagwan Krishna. He just thought it was his friend. Since we know he was not just a Krishna, he was Bhagwan Krishna, Lord Krishna. So now we could even pray more deeply from our heart and seek for his guidance very humbly and surrendering to him. As Arjuna said, Karpanye dosho pahat swabhava prashyami tvam dharma samud chetaha yachsasyani nishchitam bruitan me shishyaste ham shadi mam tvam prapanyam Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanyam. My heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all my composure and my mind is confused about my duty, my dharma. I'm requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me, not what am I asking for. Why? Because I'm your disciple and I surrender to you. I request you, please guide me. And with this kind of request, Bhagwan Krishna could not resist. He blessed him. And after his blessing and his listening to his guidance, Arjun, where initially he said, Na jotasyati gobindam, I will not fight. And now he says, I will do as you advise. Karishye vachanam tav. After going on this blissful journey, he realized that he was not just the human being Arjuna. He was part of Lord Krishna, part of supreme power. He was not just the body. He was body along with the supreme power, Jiva Atma, where he was companion with the supreme power. So let's all go on this blissful journey and experience our highest consciousness, Satchit Ananda. So Guruji always put it in a very simple word to teach us that what is Gita? In a very simple word. He said Gita is a step-by-step spiritual instruction manual that guides us to follow his ultimate advice. And what was that? Spread this message of Lord Krishna, Gita, to others and attain freedom from miseries and pains, moksha, liberation. Many different terminology for this. But ultimately, experience that eternal happiness, peace, oneness, and realize that I am Satchit Ananda. While living in this world, not just after death, but while living in this world and beyond. So pranam to Guruji again for guiding us and giving us such a simple messages. So this blissful journey to higher self, I would say highest self, through practicing Gita's teachings, which are composed of 700 verses, 24,447 words, further divided into 18 chapters, and then 3 main yogas, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And combining these 700 verses, where we have spoken before that one verse was, very first verse was by Dhritarashtra, where he laid the ground that Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra, that our life is not just the Kurukshetra, but it is a Dharma Kshetra. That's why Gita is called as Dharma Shastra. Do our prescribed duty. And then how to do it through Karma Yoga, chapter 1 to 6. Through selfless service, with love and compassion, who is God, Vasudev Sarvam Iti, from chapter 7 to 12. And then Bhakti Yoga. And after that, Jnana Yoga, true knowledge. from chapter 13 to 18. And we are on the very last chapter, which is a summary of Bhagavad Gita, which is I call ultimate summary of Bhagavad Gita. Moksha Sannyas Yoga, where we remove our ignorance by learning Bhagavad Gita. Just like onions, removing each layer off, and then going to the ultimate essence. And our essence is what? I am Satchitananda. So that's where our ultimate achievement is here. So in ultimate summary here, you can see how the Vishad means all the disharmonies in our physical, emotional, surrounding areas where we feel very dejected, lose all our smile. And by teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we go beyond our limitations of all this sukha dukkha, and we experience the prasad, ultimate eternal happiness, by practicing karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, and dhyan yoga, meditation and jnana yoga. So in moksha sannyas yoga, union with God through self-realization, liberation from the path of renunciation and surrender. We have learned so much. Now it's about time in this chapter to renunciate everything, whatever we do, just offer to the Supreme Power through serving his Prakriti, his mother nature, which is a small part of his, he says, this is a small part of my creation. So we should serve that creation and do whatever we do, just surrender to him, because it's all his play, all his lila. And by doing that, we will go from miseries to moksha, because the whole series is miseries to moksha. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita is the royal road to liberation. It's going to liberate us. And ultimately, we experience, I am Satchit Ananda. I'm not just the only Jiva Atma, but this Atma, the fraction of the Supreme Power, is ultimately the power of this Satchit Anand. So I am no different than God. I am Satchit Ananda. So on this verse, we previously learned that go with divine Shakti, divine will, and surrender to him. Because this whole chapter is about renunciation and surrender. So renunciation, we learn that do whatever we do, just offer to him. So he says, idam te na pasyat na bhaktyat kadachan na chakshushve vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuvati. He says, idam te, these secret teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that you are not the body, you are the soul. Perform your duty, regardless who you have to fight, because that is your prescribed duty to protect the society from evil and establish the goodness. So all these teachings of Bhagavad Gita, here he tells us never to be told to anyone. So he's teaching us that we should spread this word, which he tells us in the next verse. But prior to that, he's giving us some criteria, some guidelines, who we should preach this, who should we not preach to. So here he says caution, big caution. Like when we go on the freeway and we say caution, don't enter this road, it's a one way. You will get into accidents. Or don't go into this road. Similarly, he's telling us that who this should be told to and who it should not be told to. So he says, this should never be told to anyone who is devoid of austerity. Tapa. We learn the tapa. Gita is all about Gita, 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 tyag, 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 tapa, tapa, tapa. And he has taught us how to do the vani ka tap, how to do our duty ka tap, how to do our tapa of our body ka tap, how to do our mental tap. All these things he had taught us in chapter 17. From anudvekaram vakyam to man prasadam sumatva monam atma vinigraha. Bhav shuddhir ityet tapo manasam uchyate. So this way, how to do all these tapas. So people who are not doing the tapas of their duty, performing their dharmas, this should not be taught to those people. This should not be discussed with those people. Why? Because they do not have any devotion toward Bhagwan Krishna ji. And not only that, they are not willing to even listen to it because they think their religion is better, their belief system is better. As I mentioned before, they think they are the devotee of Ram, not the Krishna, so they will not entertain that. Similarly, all the man-made religions, they have such a strong belief in their own religion, own gurus, which is good. But at the same time, true teachings of Bhagavad Gita and true teaching of all the religions is and must be the unity, love, peace, and ananda. But many religions don't believe in unity. We all know that. Or at least the one or two religions don't believe in unity. They think their religion is the only one, and that their God is the only God. So those people, if you discuss this with them, they will not only not listen, but they will have an ill talk for Bhagwan Krishna ji, and they say he does this and he did this, all kind of nonsense they start talking about. So he says, do not share this with them. So even that here, the other thing we have to be careful. Here we say, okay, don't share with them. But many people do not fit in the category of 4 that they speak ill about Hinduism or ill about Bhagwan Krishna. But they might be doing the good work, their duties, but they might not be aware of it, or they might be ignorant of their duty, or they might not have that kind of a strong devotion, or they listen, but they don't know how to listen it. So here it says, if somebody is devoid of austerity or devotion or even listening part of it, still we should share that with them because they could turn around toward Bhagavad Gita or toward the Lord Krishna's message. But the people who are speak ill about Krishna, ill about Hinduism, then it must not be shared with them. So they are totally disqualified. So here is a qualification to receive supreme knowledge. Who are qualified? Willingness to learn and listen means that third category. Devotion, faith, pure-hearted, good listeners. Going back to the listening part of it again. And then humble, polite, disciplined, and do selfless service means perform their dharmas and possess divine qualities like Arjuna. Lord Krishna at one time told him in chapter 16, when he was describing the divine qualities like Abhay, Satya, Samsudhir, Gyan Yog. And then at that time, after telling him, then he also described that hypocrisy and vices and all these are the demon qualities. And then he assures him that don't worry, because you are embodiment of divine qualities. That is in chapter 16. And so who possess the divine qualities like Arjuna? And what are those? Abhay, Satya, Samsudhir, forgiveness, courage, steadfastness, all those qualities which we have learned about it. And then if we say, respect Lord Krishna and Gita's teaching, that should be must. And at one time, somebody asked a question to Premanandji Maharaj. I was just listening to him. And one person asked him the question because he was an actor. And he says, I have to play many roles. And sometimes I have to play the villain role. Then what should I do? And he guided him. He said, look, any villain play you can do, role you can play. However, if there is any time it is dishonoring the Hinduism or any of our Devi Devtas or any part of the Bhagavad Gita teaching, you must not take that role. And I like that. It was so clearly spelled to him. So the bottom line here is share the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita with only those who qualified and ask for it, not just that we can start imposing on them. So now our favorite verse, here the main verse comes. Here Bhagwanji says, Ya imam parmam guham mad bhaktesvasi bhakti mayam param kratva mame veshyasi asanshya. So it's a very important word here. Mad bhakte abhidhyasati. To my devotee. Here does not mean only Krishna's devotee, not the physical Krishna we are talking about. We are talking about the Brahman who is practicing these teachings. So, and imam, which teachings? As I mentioned, the teachings where we are the soul, we are not just the body, and we are the creation of supreme power, and we should serve this universe. That's the teachings he's talking about. So he says, one who with supreme devotion to me, here is the supreme devotion, my bhaktim param kratva, preaches this most supreme secret, Guyam. See, this Guyam word has come so many times in chapter 15 at the end. Also, he says, this is the supreme Guyam. Chapter 9, this is the most secret and most sacred knowledge. Why it is most secret and sacred knowledge? Because there is no other shastras or scripture where they talk about the soul as describedly as in Bhagavad Gita. Where do we have come? Where we will end up? How we will go? So what is the purpose of our life? Who am I? Where did I come from? How would I go back to the supreme power? All these questions have been answered in Bhagavad Gita. That's why it is called the most secret and most sacred wisdom. So this transcendental knowledge that we are made with body and soul, this current which flows, that is the Atma. No other Shastra talks about like that or gives that wisdom. So to whoever tells this secret to my devotee will definitely come to me. There is no doubt about it. He again gives us the assurance that we are on right path. So the best way to serve God, distribute his message to eligible ones, which we talked about it. So teach with devotion, not just like a puppet. It has to come from the heart. Teacher and student both attain divine connection and moksha. You know, when we take the responsibility of teaching, it's just not the reading of verses. It has to go totally to connection. So we learn so much ourselves. And when we learn so much ourselves, we can do a better job to explain it. And then when people listen very carefully, so it is so beneficiary to teach Bhagavad Gita because we learn. And I can share my experiences, many things I have learned during these sessions, which I was not even aware of it. So it's the best job one can do. And that's where it says the dearest service to God is to share his message to others, regardless of caste, creed, and religion. That's what Guruji's favorite word, beyond caste, creed, and religion. Because, by doing this, Bhagwanji also said previously that Tesham satatat yuktanam bhaitam priti purvakam. Here it says with devotion. So he says, with devotion, whoever bhaita, then I give that wisdom to them and they come to me. So and this is another way of doing the bhaita. By studying Bhagavad Gita with total focus, passion, Bhagwanji says that you come to me. There is no doubt about it. But he says, make sure, don't impose on people who are talk ill about me. Don't. And people who are not in mood to listen, don't just continue to preach them. Look for the proper time. And that's what Guruji, Prabhupada, and now Jnananand, these are all, so much work has been devoted and people are working on it. And people have worked in the past. But there is one more thing, that many people are not into that, they want to teach. But listening is very easy. So Bhagwanji says, don't worry about it. Here it says, Shraddha Vanshu Chacha, Shunayad Api, Yonara So Api Muktaha. So the one who even just listen to this sacred dialogue of mine with faith and without any attitude of finding faults, become free from sins and will attain higher reward of virtuous. Shubham lokan prapnuvati punyam karmanam. With faith, without an attitude of finding faults, become free from sins. Such a best teaching. I mean, I'm telling you, if somebody asks me, what did you learn from Gita? And I say, if I have to say one thing, it made me to a good listener. When I talk to people, it helped me to communicate, how to listen. Like Lord Krishna Arjuna was telling him that I am in so much and discouraged, disappointed, Vishad. And Keshav, you are just smiling. And he says, Pehle tum to bolno. So it gives us that let people talk. But here he gives one more additional thing. When you are listening to other people, especially the scriptures or spiritual teachings, avoid skepticism and criticism and arguments, because their intention is different than you might have understood. So we should focus on ourselves, that am I understanding what the message is coming here? Rather than start becoming skepticizing it or criticizing, or start sometimes arguing it. And because sometimes what happens when we listen to other people's talks in Bhagavad Gita or any other spiritual talks, and then we wonder what this person is saying. This is not what it's supposed to be. And we all have those. Our mind goes in different directions and we start thinking that way. And that's where he's warning us that must not avoid this criticism, must not criticize and get into arguments that why did you say this and it means this way and that way. This is a big warning for all of us. And focus on understanding and internalizing the message, what that person is trying to give the message, and try to tune into it. So here it says that if everybody is not tailored toward giving the teachings or preaching, but here's a good listening is rewarding as teaching and practicing. Practicing. Practice is the key here. So it's not just that we speak or we listen, but ultimately Bhagavad Gita is, unless we practice it, only preaching and talking is not going to do it. But again, here is a very good example. I put it here. Arjuna listened it without finding any faults or questioning it. Though he had a questions, asking question is a very encouraging. We should all ask questions, but we should have an open mind rather than start thinking otherwise. And after listening to, look, when he says, Na jota siddhi govindam, he says, Karishe vachanam tam. This is all the impact of good listening. Here, story of King Parikshit, we all know that, about that, when he was given only 8 days to live, rather than crying that, oh my God, I have only 8 more days to live, he did the best thing. He asked Rishi to, now give me the path of moksha. How can I get out of these sins, what I have committed in my life? And also, how can I go beyond it? And based on these teachings, the Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran was born. The appearance of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Puran has come with Parikshit's request of learning and listening. And then he got moksha. So good listening is very, very important. But it doesn't mean that if one is not interested or not able or does not want to teach, that's okay. Good listening is good enough. But more than that, practice it. Practice is the key. So it's a time of practicing, recharging our batteries from morning so we can perform our daily activities and stay on this path by starting our Om mantras or studying Bhagavad Gita, whatever suits us. But take one message per day, whatever it is. And I hear it, and then practice during the day. So I put it, learn. So we are learning. Then we should be a good listener and lift. Lift means lifting ourselves and others, so sharing with others. So that's the message I put it here. And then, of course, our exercises, yogas, pranayam, connecting our energy, pranic energy with breath and meditations. And then in the evening, we should evaluate. How did I do it? What I committed, did I do it? Or did I kind of got sidetracked? Then that's okay. Practice it again. But evaluation is very important. And then at the end, Sarva Dharman Paritajya Mamekam Sharanam Braj. Aham Tvam Sarpapebhyo Moksha Shami Mashike. Do your best and let go, because God says, don't worry about it. You are on my boat. So, मैं तुमको पार ले जाऊंगा. Don't worry about it. But in summary, from going from miseries, from Kurukshetra, Vishad, by doing Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, renunciations, all that, and finally surrendering it. And the God grace is there. So, and then now God, He's giving us one more tool, that now you can listen better with love and compassion and share with others. And then you and I are one. Because whenever there is a teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we might not experience it, but the person who's talking, I many times, if I ask myself what I said, I would not know, because he is using this body to deliver this message. So this is not my message, this is his message. So he's always present when the Bhagavad Gita's teachings are going on, Bhagavad Gita's talks are going on. He sits there, he's right there. We might not experience it, but how we can experience him? When after listening or during the listening, we feel so calm, so peaceful. And that calmness and peace is the presence of Lord Krishna right there. So experience it, that he's always there. So that's what we feel, that oneness, self-realization. So homework, be aware and ask myself or yourself. So Swadhyaya Abhyasana, very first thing, be a Sakshi. Live in awareness of that God is everywhere. And my supreme goal is to experience him, realize him. And then the question comes, am I a good listener? Do I practice the teachings of Bhagavad Gita? Do I share with others? Do I do spiritual practices, meditation? Do I live in the mindfulness that he's around, he's everywhere, within my body, in my eyes, in my ears, in my hands, in my thought? And do I surrender to him and let go? Am I walking, talking, and working Gita? So am I, in other words, am I practicing it? Am I, when I'm talking and I'm thinking about that mantra which is given to me during these teachings? Am I speak according to Bhagwanji's message? And when I work, do I surrender everything to him? Or do I have any expectation of the results? So all these questions, inquiries, is just for improvement, not doubting ourselves. So, as Vivekananda said, continue to be on this journey, arise, awake, stop not until the goal is reached. So, let's focus on our goal. And our sankalpa, I learn, I listen, I illuminate. I lift, I illuminate, I share. So I practice Bhagavad Gita's teachings. I follow Bhagavad Gita's teachings. And once we have this sankalpa, with the prabhavan of sankalpa, and this sankalpa is without any calm desires, because it says kamas tattva. And then all the senses, man, say indriya, gramam, everything is tailored toward those activities, not anything else. Then little by little, shanai, shanai, uppar med buddhya buddhi grahita, our buddhi, where Bhagwanji said before that by doing these practices, I will give you that buddhi, dadami buddhi yogam, tam yen mamu pantite. So I will give you that buddhi. So buddhya grati dehita, it comes again. And then atma sanshaya mane kratvana kinchit api chintyat. Don't think about anything else. Just be on this path. Like you are on this blissful journey. You are on this train. Don't try to get off. Continue, continue, continue until you are there. But once you are, put the seed, little by little, the fruit will come. So by teaching of Bhagavad Gita, by learning that Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna takes care of it. So we don't have to worry about that part. That's he says it's my job, not your job. So don't worry about it. But by during this learning, we feel happy, healthy, and peaceful. And on the path of Satchitananda, so we experience that. So we just have to have a patience. No need to rush. Maybe this life, maybe next life, who knows? But he's so kind. He is teaching us this. So, as he said, only one in the thousands know the purpose of their own life, and they are on this path. So, we are all on this path. So, I congratulate to everybody, and really thankful to everybody that learning the ultimate power of listening and sharing. So, continue to share or listen and practice. And then we get the freedom from pains and miseries and experience happy, healthy, and peaceful life. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you. Thank you.